This is a close room, and we probably don't need the microphones, but we want to have them so that we get a good feed on our live stream. So we have Doug Watkins here handling our live stream, and we'll get started right now with a prayer, and Mary Ann will lead us in a prayer. You'll all stand.
Our most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us. Thank you for the difference in the weather that we have, because it just makes our life fun and we enjoy lots of different kinds of weather. We just thank you for the country that you've given us to live in, to honor we have the opportunity to honor you. We have the opportunity to vote for people that we choose to. We pray that tonight would bring glory to you, and that people would be informed on issues so that they can make up their own minds how they want to vote. Thank you for today, and we pray for safety and your guidance in everything we do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Please remain standing. We'll have the pledge to the flags, to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Yeah!
Please be seated. All right. So we're started in good form here. For those who may not be familiar with Bryan College Station Tea Party, we have a little flyer out on the table that'll help you know a little bit more about what we do. We do have a website and a Facebook page that will help also if you're not familiar with us. So our objective is to help equip people with realistic and factual information in order to help them make choices aligned with our God-given rights as enumerated in the United States Constitution. This program tonight is not intended to promote any one candidate, but to provide these candidates with an opportunity to convince you that they are the best candidate for the office they're running for. Everybody probably knows early voting started this week. It will complete on the 25th, Friday the 25th, and Election Day is the 1st. As you've seen out on the table, we have sample ballots for you if you don't already know that. We have, understand, everybody probably knows that's everyone on the ballot. That's not going to be everyone that's on your particular ballot, but that is everyone that's running. So we've had some questions turned in, and we need to close the time for turning in questions. If anyone else has one, you need to turn it in to Carol Nichols right here on the front, at the front table. So thank you for those that have turned them in. So let's recognize any elected people that are here that aren't in the election. That's Judge Peters, and we have Sheriff Dickey here. We have, who else? Judge David Hilburn. You know, when you're on the spot, you forget people's name every now and then. It does happen. Any other elected folks here? And those that are on the ballot in uncontested races. I know we have one right over here, Timothy D'Alessandro. Anyone else on the ballot that's uncontested? Anyone? Anyone? Okay. Well, thank you for being here. We'll introduce our candidates that are to be before you in just a few minutes. So before that, we'll review the basics of what we're going to do here. All the candidates that have been invited, there were 16 candidates invited. We have 13 that have accepted. We have almost all of them here. We're lacking 2 right now, or 3, and so we'll hope they will show in just a little while. All the candidates will have 3 minutes to address the audience, okay? And we'll take them in the order they are on the ballot, and that will be an easy way to do that. So once all of the different races will come up as they are on the ballot, with the exception of the state rep race, and they will be the last that you'll hear from tonight. So when we ask questions, that will be only of the county commissioner candidates and the state rep candidates. And so Each candidate will be afforded a minute and a half to answer, but we hope they'll be a little more brief than that. That'll give us a little more time to ask questions. So, timekeepers for this evening is Mark Kopic and Mike Stasiowski. Carol Nichols is our question coordinator, and that's the team except for Bill Bingham at the soundboard. So, with that, as I said, we'll have the candidates come in the order they are on the ballot, except for the state reps. So we'll start with County Court at Law number 2, go to District Clerk, County Treasurer, County Commissioner Precinct 2, State Representative District 12, and then District 14. So at this time, I would ask the candidates for County Court at Law to come forward, introduce themselves, and have their 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Howdy, I'm Roy Brantley, class of '81, and I'm running for County Court at Law number 2, Brazos County Judge. I'm asking for your vote, and people have asked me, are you conservative? Well, I will tell you, it's on my sign. You can look at it and see it, but that doesn't mean I'm conservative. What means I'm conservative is I was raised by a single mother on my grandfather's and grandmother's cotton farm. Yes, I chop cotton. Yes, I understand what work is. Having been raised by them, they farmed during the Depression. And having farmed during the Depression, that's the definition to me of somebody that's conservative. So that's the way I was raised. I was raised to serve. Should I get elected this spot, I will serve the people. I will serve the attorneys that appear before me, and I will serve the law. I clerked for the Supreme Court of Texas after law school. The law is very important. When I was at A&M, I was a Ross Volunteer Commander. Got to march in President Reagan's inaugural parade. That was a grand event. I was in Corps staff, then went to law school, was Outstanding Student of the Year my 3rd year. Then I clerked for the Supreme Court of Texas, and after that, my wife and I had an opportunity to be called to Bryan College Station. Miss Bell knows that. We were part of a March for Jesus a long time ago. But we were called here. We raised our 4 children here, and they're involved in a lot of different activities. But why would you choose me is because I will be firm, I will be fair, and we have 2,533 cases that are pending as of December 31st, 2021. How do you get those cases resolved? I'm a trial lawyer. I'm board certified trial lawyer. I'm an AV preeminent rated attorney. Highest legal ability and highest ethic ability rated by peers and judges since 2016. I try cases. I'm an American Board of Trial Advocate. I love to try cases, and I will try cases. That's one way to get rid of cases. You can't try them all in that period of time, but there's a domino effect. When they know that a judge is going to try a lawsuit and call a jury in, others down the stream may settle and accept a plea agreement. So I'm here to assert to you, I will follow the law, I will be firm, I will be fair, and I'm asking for your vote. And by the way, my wife, Cindy Stafford Brantley, second best decision I ever made in my life. First was becoming a Christian. She's the second one. So thank you, and I'd greatly appreciate your vote.
Folks, my name, I don't know, is this on? Okay. My name is Mark Malzberger. Like Roy, I'm running for Brazos County Court at Law number 2. And I've got a plan for January 1, 2023. And that plan is to stand in the courthouse in front of the citizens of Brazos County, in front of my friends and my family, and to take an oath to the best of my ability to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, the laws of the United States, and the laws of this state. So help me God. And when you think about the role of a judge in a county court at law, it's not about having an agenda. It's about seeking justice and making sure that all of the citizens and all of the litigants who appear in front of you get justice. It's not about a woke agenda. It's not about legislating from the bench. It's about process, due process. I'm going to get into that here just a little bit. And we've heard each other talk to each other about 6 or 8 times. So I was going to try and do something a little different today. And I'm not going to put anyone on the spot, But there's a couple of amendments to the Constitution that are very near and dear to me. The court's docket there for county court at law has a docket that is more than 75% criminal cases. I've tried over 150 criminal cases to a verdict, 176 total, including cases in all sorts of the jurisdiction of the court. But as a criminal attorney, making sure, what's the purpose of the Constitution? To protect us from who? The government. Okay. Fourth Amendment. Who knows what the Fourth Amendment stands for? All right, I'll start with you. What's the Fourth Amendment?
Protection of property.
Protection of property from who? The state and from the government. How about that Fifth Amendment? What does that Fifth Amendment do for you? The right to remain silent, no illegal takings, what have you. I have plenty of clients that have the right to remain silent, but not the ability. Sixth Amendment is also something that's very important. Anyone remember the Sixth Amendment? That's speedy trial right there. 14th Amendment, God, I hope you remember this one. Due process, equal protection, all right? But if you had to sit there and ask me what my favorite of all of them was, it's the 10th Amendment, all right? I see you nodding over here, sir, in the blue shirt. Why do you think the 10th Amendment is my favorite amendment right there?
Because it helps separate between the federal and the state and local people. So whatever is not presided for the federal government is determined by the state and the local level.
Absolutely, and it is the job of the county court at law to apply that law. It's a job of these other fellas to create the law here in the legislature. I'm Mark Maltzberger. I appreciate your consideration. I value your support, and I'll earn your vote. Thank you.
District clerk candidates. Crystal Kelly is up first. And then Margaret Meese. Okay. Okay. So it'll be Crystal, Gabriel, and Margaret in that order. Gabriel in the center.
Hi, I'm Crystal Kelly, and I'm running for Brazos County District Clerk. I was born and raised in Brazoria County and the county seat of Angleton. I came to College Station to obtain my Bachelor's of Science in Political Science and my minor in Sociology at Texas A&M. I stayed here, love it here. I worship here. I'm a member of Central Baptist Church. I married Michael Kelly, and I have 4 children, 3 boys and 1 little girl. So, of course, she's the princess and the ruler of our house. So, as you all know how that goes. So, I actually worked in the district clerk's office as a deputy district clerk, so I am very familiar with the clerk's office and how it runs. I also moved into private practice where I am a paralegal, so I know both sides of that desk. That's vital for that experience on both sides of that desk that uniquely qualifies me to be the best candidate. I plan to get in there, and I plan to make that office and increase its transparency and accessibility. I plan to make sure that we get our copies of our orders. It's very important to our attorneys, our citizens, our litigants, that anything that is non-confidential records, that they are accessible, because those are your public records. That is important to keep our cases moving. That counter is a two-way counter. We are not just filing things, but we're also receiving things. And if we're not receiving it, obviously my job, it's not efficient on the other side of the counter. So I appreciate your vote and your consideration, obviously, your consideration and your vote. And if you would like any more information about me, I have flyers out there. They do have my cell phone number on it. You're more than happy, if you're happy to contact me, that's totally fine too. And you can visit my website at www.electcrystalkelly.com. Thank you.
Just start whenever. Just go now?
Now.
All right. My name is Gabriel Garcia. I'm 53. I'm a third-generation Brazos County resident. Married to my beautiful wife, Marie. For 26 years, we've been blessed with 3 children. I graduated Bryan High, graduated Texas A&M University. I always knew I was going to Texas A&M University. My mother made sure that I knew that. Before going anywhere else, she made sure I knew that. but my parents instilled in me the ethics of hard work, faith, family, and I carry that with me everywhere I go. I am the current district clerk. I've been district clerk 3 years, and it's been an honor and a privilege serving the citizens of Brazos County. I have my 3 priorities are still the same: customer service, service to the courts, employee retention, and training. Very important, very important. We have done many things in the district clerk's office. We have raised the bar in that office. There's no doubt about it. Okay, if anybody has said otherwise, I'd like to hear why, I guess, and maybe I'll hear that tonight. I don't know. But the district clerk's office is running efficient and is very productive. I am running on a record of success in there. And I know that we can continue that if I have your blessing and I'm reelected for another term as Brazos County District Clerk. So please consider voting for me, and thank you, and God bless.
Good evening. I'm Margaret Meese. Thank you so much for hosting this candidate forum tonight. It is my pleasure to be here. I am an attorney and a former judge. I have practiced law in Brazos County for 30 years. I served as a justice of the peace. I have worked with district clerk's office all across the state, practicing law in Brazos County, surrounding counties, as far south as Galveston and all the way over to El Paso and Amarillo. I know when a district clerk's office is run well and when it's not, and I know the serious consequences for when it's not. There are changes that need to be made in our district clerk's office, and that's why I'm running. It is very difficult to get records from the district clerk's office sometimes. I had an order that a judge signed on January 14th. After 10 days and a lot of phone calls, I got a copy of that order on January 24th. And these are digital records. They are digitally, electronically filed in. They are digitally signed by the court. They never leave the computer system. And yet it took 10 days to get that order. Should be an immediate turnaround, and that's what you should expect. 10 days is a long time to wait. Also, there are problems with getting access to records. There are cases that are filed in the district clerk's office that the lawyers can't even look at to see whether the case was filed, whether an answer was filed, what are the events that are going on in that case. Those things all need to be changed because you need to know what's going on in any given case, and those are public records. That information is public, and it ought to be public to you. I have managed a Brazos County department. I've been a Brazos County department head. I've supervised Brazos County employees. I have handled court funds. I've handled county funds. I have done everything that needs to be done in the district clerk's office. I have firsthand experience with every single type of document that needs to be filed in the district clerk's office and every kind of document that they produce. Please vote for me. I'm Margaret Meese, for Brazos County District Clerk. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And our next candidates will be the county treasurer. You're not Kristen Villarreal.
Christian Villarreal, yes, sir.
You are?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You know, I'm sorry. I thought that was a lady, so I got that wrong.
I thought that before, don't worry. I got that before.
I'm sure you know who you are. Okay. Thank you.
No confusion.
Take a moment, it's okay.
I don't like public speaking to begin with. Wow. But I do like the laughs. It helps the energy in the room. I do appreciate that. Good evening, everyone. My name is Christian Villarreal, and I'm excited to be a candidate and hopefully serve y'all as the next Brazos County Treasurer. I was born and raised in San Antonio, and I attended college at Texas State University, where I earned a bachelor's in business administration. Out of college, I worked for a nonprofit organization, the First Tee of Greater San Antonio, managing charity events. This is where I learned the fiscal responsibility that a nonprofit has to the people that they set out to serve, much like our government has a fiscal responsibility to all of us as constituents. 3 years ago, I moved to Brazos County, and since then, I've married my beautiful wife, Kaylee, who is a Bryan native and is a current teacher at Bryan High for the past 4 years. I've set roots down here, and I do love this community. I was originally hired to work in the Brazos County Treasurer's Office in accounts payable, but quickly started cross-training other duties around the office. Over time, those jobs have included accounts receivable, reconciliation, payroll, quarterly reporting to the state, collecting of hotel occupancy tax, just to name a few. The expertise in multiple areas of the office is what made me the most qualified to eventually lead the Treasurer's Office when we were doing the financial system transition in Brazos County. This move has required constant communication between all departments and ingenuity between multiple people to build out the system to meet our requirements as a county. I believe this close communication between offices is vital to an effective government. Another large part of my current position as Assistant Chief Deputy is assisting in investments that we make with county monies. The county monies will always be invested following the guidelines of the Public Fund Investment Act and our county investment policy. The main guidelines we follow are to ensure the safety of principal, liquidity when we need it, and then we look at what yield is. I believe I'm the best person to lead this office for the next 4 years because of my expertise in the different components of the office, because of my expertise with our financial system, because of my ability to think outside the box when things don't go right with our financial system or other problems that happen within the office, because of my ability to work with other departments and offices within the county, because of my want to give you and fellow constituents as myself more transparency into what that office does, because of my passion to continue to improve the efficiency in how we serve the community. I think, again, I'm the best person for the job because working the extra hours is not something that I'm worried about. Just like when our financial system, when we were transitioning, I made sure that I put in the hours to make sure that it was correct and everything was good. Again, my name is Christian Villarreal, and I'm running for Brazos County Treasurer. Would appreciate y'all's vote. Thank you.
I apologize.
You're good.
Laura Davis Taylor, as I understand, is, you've probably all heard on the radio a time or two that she's not actively campaigning. So you were probably looking at your new treasurer for Brazos County. Next up, we have our county commissioner candidates. If you could come forward now. Hey, Ronnie. If we could be left to right, Ronnie, Russ, Chuck, and Silas. That's the order on the ballot. Okay. Ronnie, Russ, Chuck, and Silas. Very good. Ronnie, you're first up.
Tuesday we went to the Hispanic Forum and we had a guy, auctioneer, selling cakes, and I told him if I could speak as fast as he could, I could get through my platform in 3 minutes. So I'll get started again. My name is Ronnie Batuli. I'm running for County Commissioner Precinct 2. What I really want to talk to you all about tonight is the issues facing Brazos County in a very limited amount of time. I want to tell you a little bit about my working experience first. I served on the City Council for the City of Curtin for 18 years, the last 10 as their mayor. I also was the P&Z Commissioner, and I've been certified by the state of Texas under their municipal investment requirements and served the City of Curtin as their investment officer. I'm a project manager at Texas A&M for the past 20 years, working in the financial and operations area of the university. I have several key issues I want to discuss with you tonight. Number one is property taxes. I'm committed to get your property tax bill stabilized and lowered. The tax rate the Commissioner's Court set is one of the components that affect your tax bill. Lowering the tax rate enough to lower your tax bill is what I want to focus on. As mayor, I lowered the tax rate 34% in 10 years. I want to take that same approach at the county level. Two ways that this can be accomplished. We create an environment for new growth, which will bring new revenue. And we reduce spending where available, create efficiencies, and be extremely cautious about new bureaucracies. We don't have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem. President Reagan once said, government always will find a need for whatever money it gets. We must curb our appetite for spending. Another item is county growth. I live in the rural part of the county. I managed a rural city for 18 years. I'm the only candidate that has the kind of experience needed to guide us through the next explosive growth we are experiencing right now. In the advent of House Bill 347, Bryan and College Station can no longer annex property without the landowners petitioning the city. This is a huge game changer for the county. The result of this bill will significantly slow down the rate of annexation for Bryan and College Station. The county will be dealing with development they have never seen before and had to deal with. Developers like density-type neighborhoods, 4 or 5 houses or lots to an acre. The county has a minimum lot size of 1 acre. Here lies the conflict, which brings me to my next topic, and that's mud districts. We currently have 2 mud districts in Brazos County. These come at extremely high tax rates. As a county, we must get in front of this. I have firsthand experience working with mud districts in Harris County, more so than any of my opponents. It is important that you know their stance on MUDs or if they are familiar with them at all. Pushing the dense population growth into the unincorporated parts of the county will have a ripple effect with our first responders, the sheriff's department, constables, fire departments, and road and bridge. We must be proactive and be prepared. I have the experience to lead that effort.
Howdy. Howdy. I'm Russ Ford, your county commissioner for Precinct 2. I was elected by precinct convention by some of the people in this room and then ran in a general election against a Democratic opponent last year. I'd like to introduce myself, say I'm a class of 81, Texas A&M graduate in construction science. I've got excellent experience in road and bridge. I'm not going to make these 3 guys listen to the whole thing again. Just to say that I worked for TxDOT, running a pavement design and testing lab. Later, I went to work for R.B. Butler here in town, building roads, bridges, and treatment plants. And for the last 20 years, I've worked for an engineering firm designing infrastructure. My wife, Vicki, of 34 years, is with me tonight. I said the other night, and I think it's still true, she's my best advocate, but also my harshest critic. So if you got questions about me, she's probably the one to ask. I'd like to talk a little bit about the job. I am not a politician. I've never run for any office except for precinct chair in the past. And one of my competitors is also serving as a precinct chair right now, and that's where the nuts and bolts of Republican Party politics really happen. I learned a lot there. This job, I'm ideally suited for it, and it's the job that I want. I'm not a Like I say, I haven't served as a city councilman. I haven't served as a mayor. I'm not looking for a job other than this one. I've told Judge Peters that his job is way too hard for me and underpaid. So I'm doing what I want to do. I'd like to speak just for a second. One of my opponents has got the former U.S. congressman from here advertising for him on the radio. And I'd just like to say that I am not and not ever going to apologize for being a supporter of Pete Sessions. I was talking to the judge about it today. Pete has done us a wonderful job as our U.S. congressman and has involved Brazos County on numerous occasions. I'm actually sorry to lose Pete. I've not met our new U.S. congressman, but I've been invited to a meeting to meet him at some point in the future. That being said, I would also like to say say that I advocate for our Sheriff's Department. Our Sheriff's Department came to us last year during the budget process and asked that we give them a training facility that they've been asking for since the new Sheriff's Department was built out on Highway 21. We've been unable to do it because of our budgets, but one of the things I really appreciate about our Sheriff's Department, and I'm not a defund the police or woke kind of guy, is we have not had any incidents at all in Brazos County of somebody feeling like they've been mistreated by our law enforcement. And to keep that going, I feel like that we need to have the ability to educate those men and women in our Sheriff's Department and in our Constable's Department to treat people fairly, to treat them right, but also to take care of us as tax-paying citizens. With that all being said, again, I am your...
Howdy. Howdy. Hey, I'm Chuck Conderla. I'm actually from Bryan. Married the little girl across the street. Well, when we were adults. I married the little girl from across the street. We've been married 25 years. We have 7 children, and blessed to live right here in Brazos County. This is where we're going to raise our children and live our lives. I, like many of you, was very frustrated with the direction of our country. And when a certain president was elected, named Obama, I said, you know, it's not enough to just be frustrated anymore. I've got to put my hat in the ring. And, you know, you start making comments and suggestions, and before you know it, you're on city council. So I'm in Bryan. Yeah, don't laugh too loud. We'll make you speak. That's how this works. No, but so I was on Bryan City Council, and I actually came in 2010. Now, that was right after the 08-09 financial panic that our country went through with defaulted mortgages and all that good stuff, right? So in the city of Bryan, being a Bryan native, I identified a few things right away. And one of them is that 74% of the kids at BISD were getting some sort of food assistance at school every day, whether that's breakfast, lunch, dinner, or all. I've worked in the food pantry many a time, packing the backpacks they take home to feed themselves at night. So that is the thing here. And so as a guy that wants to see the community grow and develop, one of the first things I set out on is prosperity as my #1 priority in Bryan. So getting out of the way of local business owners, making a business-friendly environment, making city council responsive to the folks that live here, and also bringing in new businesses. I believe it or not, with College Station and Bryan and Brazos County, we passed an interlocal agreement giving kind of the big, wide red carpet for the biomedical corridor to explode. You've seen downtown Bryan turn around. I'm happy to say I was a part of that. I don't want to claim that it was me. I was a part of that. And I was very active as a council member on what's called the Bryan-Brazos EDF board. That's a board where Bryan and Brazos County work together, where I worked very closely with Commissioner Catalina and Judge Peters. Got to know them really well. Got to see county government and know county government really well. Did that for about 6 years. We built the Triangle Industrial Park. We brought in Atlas Pipe and Tube. That's the largest steel manufacturer on the continent, and it's here in Brazos County. We brought in more jobs. We helped develop local people to expand their jobs with the Bryan-Brazos EDF. When I finished city council, I was concentrating on my business. By the way, I'm a business owner for 25 years, so I know what it's like to be a small business person. I've done it for 25 years. And during that time, I was very blessed to get to have some time with family and really think about my next thing. In 2018, I met with Judge Peters and Sammy Catalina, talked to them a little bit more about county government, and they both encouraged me to run for commissioner. When Sammy passed, I was appointed commissioner. I served until the election of that year, and I hope to serve you again this year as your commissioner with both city and county experience and a conservative philosophy and a business mind. Thank you.
I'm going to get over in front of y'all. Howdy.
Howdy.
Howdy. My name is Silas Garrett, and I'm running for your county commissioner here in Precinct 2. Before I get started, I want everybody to know, 32 years ago, I met this young, beautiful, smart young lady. I'm in my early 20s. I probably wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but the smartest thing I did was to marry her. Today is our anniversary, and I'd like to wish her a happy anniversary. Edie Garrett. Everybody asks me, why do you want to be county commissioner? Well, I'm almost a lifelong resident here in Brazos County. My parents moved up here in the early 70s, 73, 74, and I have lived here all my life. I've been through all the Bryan schools. I went through, you know what I'm saying, trials and tribulations through that time, but I have been here all my life. I haven't varied from this area in Precinct 2, and I've lived most of my life right here in Precinct 2. I'm very well connected to what we need to have in Precinct 2. I'm a local businessman. My wife and I, 17 years ago, we bought a dying business, George's Paint and Body. Through the faith of God, each other, and the strength that we have, we built a dying business into the business that it is today. We went from 1 building to 3 buildings. In 2019, we were blessed to be able to open a second business, George's Auto Glass. My business is now, because for the past couple of years I have stepped back and I have let my daughter run my body shop. She is my general manager at the body shop. I've let my youngest son, Connor, run the glass shop. Him and his wife are doing an excellent job. The only thing I do is oversee what they have going on paperwork-wise inside the businesses. I'm here for the people. I'm not running for any other reason. I'm running for the citizens of Precinct 2 in Brazos County. I believe that the citizens need a voice, and they need a strong voice in this seat. I've asked questions. It's hard to get answers. Nobody wants to give you an answer. I'm going to be the one that can give an answer. I'm an open book. If you ask me a question, I'll answer it. If I don't know the answer, I will find out and get back with you. I am an advocate for the citizens. I throw myself in 100% in anything that I do. I've coached Little League. I coach softball teams. I was president of Little League. I throw myself into what we need to do 100%, no matter what I'm doing. No matter which way we go, I would love to be your county commissioner for Precinct 2. Vote Silas Garrett for county commissioner.
Okay, we're now to the place in the program where we're going to ask you some questions, okay? We do have a couple of questions from the audience, and we'll work those in. Remember, you'll have a minute and a half to answer each question. We'll go in the order, start off in the order on the ballot, then we will rotate down the line, okay?
You don't have to take that long.
That's what I was about to say. Brevity is wonderful in answers, so if you do not need the full minute and a half, that just means we'll have more time to ask more questions. So, are you ready? Okay. As a result of the November 2021 election, counties are now allowed to issue bonds for infrastructure projects which will increase the debt of the county in some way or another, okay? Tell us your opinion about Brazos County taxes as they exist now and existing debt service. Then, if you're elected, how do you plan to address issuing infrastructure bonds that will impact the tax rate? So, this is about the business of issuing bonds, the authority that the Commissioner's Court has to oversee that. We want to know what the impact is and how you would handle that. Yes.
So in 2014, the debt rate for Brazos County was around $9 million. Today, it's $99 million. Just in the past year, it went up about 20-25%, from 78 to 99 million. The tax rate has been relatively flat over that 10-year period. It's gone up about a penny, which is not a lot. But the problem is our property values have gone up so much. The average property in Brazos County that people pay, their bill, has gone up anywhere from 20% to 60%, depending on your property. This is not sustainable. We cannot continue to do that. As far as issuing more, I've heard where they say money's cheap. I've never believed that. I believe, right now 5 cents of our tax rate, which is right around 49 cents per hundred, is dedicated to debt payoff, and a lot of that is on interest. So my goal is this: let's pay as you go, and let's build a reserve, and let's not keep increasing the debt.
Okay, Russ Ford.
First of all, Jody, I would say I would never want to have a bond program that didn't pass the electorate first. In other words, we're going to vote on it, and everybody in this room is going to make the decision what we do. The truth is that we are going to be retiring some debt later on this year and next year, and it would be possible to have a bond program that did not increase our taxes 1 penny. In other words, as that money pays off. Now, we do have a very special time now because bond rates are still rather low, and construction costs have not gone up with all the inflation that we expect due to the Biden administration. So the point would be, it is something that you all should consider. A well-educated electorate will make a lot better decision than I'll make. So the answer is, I believe that the time is right to present that to you as the voters, and then let's decide what do we want to do.
Chuck Conderla.
While on City Council in Bryan, one of the things we focused on was taking some of the tax revenue and building up our reserve. In building up our reserve, we were able to change our bond rating to AA+. That's the highest rating you can have. In one meeting, I remember we signed a measure that saved $26 million by refinancing debt for the city. In the county, I would like to see a similar thing. We've built the reserve up through the last 2 budgets. When I was commissioner, we put in place a tax rate decrease while also building the budget up. The goal there for me is to get the reserve to a place where you can then have the bond agencies look at your debt again and refinance it smartly. Then to what Commissioner Ford said, we're going to pay off some debt. I-14 is coming. The Aggie Highway is coming. We've got major infrastructure need in front of us. If we don't have the infrastructure planning now and the investment now, we're going to be Travis County, who will never, ever catch up from how far behind they are. So as debt comes off, spending that money with a lower bond rating and therefore being able to have more of that money for bond use and infrastructure use is something I'm open to studying. I always want to study these things. So I'm opening to, as we retire debt, putting more debt that is better financed in its place for the infrastructure that we need, because we need it. It would be so great to sit up here and say I'm opposed to it, but I know what's coming, and we've got to prepare.
Okay, Silas Gary.
Okay, as the only person standing up here tonight that has not held public office, I look at this as my own house. As we go forward, we each have a checkbook. We have to actually look at what we have in our own house. We have to review, do we need the bond? Is it important at this time? As a citizen, I have to vote on a bond. As we go forward, we have to look at that. Is that debt that we need? Is that something that we need there? Or is it retiring the debt in the county, be able to help us increase the infrastructure without doing a bond? We have to look at our own house, our own checkbook first, before we ask the citizens to give us more money. We need to make sure the spending that we have in our own county at this point is done the way it's supposed to be done.
Thank you.
Judge, could I need to respond because it's incorrect what the statement said. In 2014, the debt was $128 million. Today, it was, or 21, it was $99 million. That's a reduction of 23%. It's not an increase. I'm not sure where you got your numbers. I did look to try to figure it out. We made a payment in 2014, principal and interest of $9 million. Maybe that's what you did instead of looking at it. I can show you the numbers. That's incorrect. I just want to clarify.
Can I comment on that?
Yes, Ronnie, you can comment.
Okay.
Yes.
So I looked at the website on the 2014 website, the addendum where the commissioners and the judge signs it, and on that addendum it says a debt of $9 million. I'll look at it again. But that's my understanding. Okay.
Okay, thank you. That was County Judge Dwayne Peters commenting on an issue that was covered in this last round. Now, our second question, we'll continue talking about county funding. So, as County Commissioner, one of your duties, among many, excuse me?
Goes to Russ.
Oh, okay. Yes, right. Yeah, Russ is first on this one. Yes, sorry. Yeah. We're getting better at this all the time. So I'll start over. As County Commissioner, one of your duties is to approve budgeted purchases for the county, and you have exclusive authority to approve contracts and all kinds of expenditures. How do you ensure that the spending is legitimate and actually necessary? What procedure do you go through for that? And then how do you ensure that the contracts are completed as specified instead of sort of kind of done and sort of kind of finished?
Jody, I almost think that question is a question about how good is our staff at the county, because that's as good as we are. What I will tell you, whenever I came to work here, and I hate for the judge to hear this, but I thought that there would be a lot of problems with county staff, and maybe they weren't highly motivated or highly incentivized. I have found exactly the opposite to be true. Our county staff is amazing. They do a really good job. Our purchasing department does a great job of keeping us out of trouble. Also, Road and Bridge does an excellent job of designing, making sure that the roads are built properly, inspecting them during the process. Up until I came to work, I don't think we had a full-time inspector for Road and Bridge, and we do now. So what I will tell you is that when we get an agenda, particularly, in other words, Road and Bridge being their liaison, I have almost a daily conversation with them about what's going on projects. But I also, when we get an agenda and it's got some item on there that I may not be fully advised upon, I always look at them the week before, and then I call that particular county office and make them explain to me exactly what's going on. If I have further questions, I go down to our budget office and ask them how we're going to do it. So the point is, I don't think we've got a tremendous problem there. It could be that you as a citizen, maybe I need to have a little more transparency, and I'll work towards that.
Mr. Conlon.
I agree. When I came under the Commissioner's Court, similar thing. Our purchasing department, I want to call out individuals, but the names, but they're not politicians, but the head of purchasing, incredibly intelligent person, very detail-oriented, looks at projects. Again, any questions you have as you prepare for the meeting each week, he is right on top of it, full of the information to give you. I'll add, though, that the County Commissioner for Precinct 2, before our recent redistricting, 54% of the county roads were in Precinct 2. So Precinct 2 County Commissioner is going to need to work, very closely with Road and Bridge. The Precinct 2 Commissioner is typically the liaison to Road and Bridge, as was I. And they're going to also work with with Purchasing Department and make sure that they're on top of what's going on, understand it, but they're more than willing to be very transparent and answer questions you or citizens might have. We encourage those citizens. I'll also say, when I came onto the court, I opened up a process by which we could encourage local contractors to bid on county projects. They've been paying taxes here for how many decades, and we wanted them to be successful in bidding on county projects. So Purchasing Department, with that request, put up a workshop for me and updated the county website, by which if you bid on a county project, you're a local contractor, and you lose, you can actually go in afterward and find out what made you lose that particular bid, so you can be better prepared for the next time. People that pay these tax dollars might have the chance to win some of them back by doing a good job for Brazos County.
Thank you, Chuck Conderla. Silas Garrett.
Well, again, as somebody that hadn't held office before, I can only use the business principles that we have in our own business. It's talking to the departments. It's being clear with the departments on what was expected, what needs to happen on the departments that are coming out through Road and Bridge. Yes, there's a lot of good people there at the staff in the county, without a doubt. Our Brazos County hires probably some of the best staff that you could ever meet. I have met with Road and Bridge. I've met with different people, but it's communication with them. It's actually sitting down, not doing it once a week or once a month. It's doing it when necessary. If you got to go in there every day and talk to them and to find out the bids, are the bids finished, are the bids done? Because even like myself, running through my shop, if I go to the body shop area of it, I need to know, is the car ready for paint? If I go into the paint department, I need to know, is the car ready to be painted, and is it painted? It's the same way. I have to find out, because I'm going to deal with Precinct 2 the same way like I deal with my customers. I keep them informed. I keep everybody in the same loop, so we're all on the same page on what we're doing.
Thank you very much, Ronnie.
Again, not being able to serve in the office like my two competitors here, but I'm a project manager at A&M for 20 years, so collaboration is kind of what we do. And so I think I think I'm not a micromanager, but I think just being able to collaborate with the directors and leaders of those organizations, of different departments, I think that's where we can focus on, and just again having an open mind and kind of talk to the leaders of the groups and kind of see where they're at.
Chuck started, didn't he? No. Okay. No. All right. Next question. We have talked about public money. Now let's talk about your money. Okay. Campaign financing. So we want to know how you're funding your campaign, and are you receiving any funds from out of the county? First up is Chuck.
Well, I was going to actually ask you for a sizable loan tonight, Jody. Since you brought it up, I've been preparing for this since I decided I would run in 2018 and talking with people to support me. And a lot of local folks have basically helped me fund the campaign. Lori and I believe we should have skin in the game. So we are a big funder of the campaign as well. We're one of the top donors of the campaign, my wife and I. It's important to me that I have local support. I don't know that I might have a few people. I've got a buddy in Cyprus that sent me $25. I mean, my money, and it's going to be in the high 90s%, is absolutely people that I know in Brazos County. I'm very blessed to have that kind of support. Again, with the resume that I have, if they feel strongly in supporting my campaign, and they have, I'm honored to receive it. I've got to work hard for them and do a great job as commissioner, though, because they believed in me that much.
Thank you, Silas.
My wife and I are pretty much funding our campaign ourselves. Yes, I have received some cash from outside the county. My father knew that I wanted to run last year, so he started saving money. He actually saved $1,000 to give to my campaign. He lives in Waller County, down there off of 359. Other than that, no, all of everything that I have has come from private people here and citizens in Brazos County. Like I say, my dad, he, bless his heart, he's an older feller, but I tell you what, I love him to death. But anyway, excuse me, I get choked up when I start thinking about my father. But anyway, everything that we have done has been through Keita and I, some small donations through different friends that we have. Most everything that we have has been through ourselves.
Thank you. Ronnie.
Yeah, much to the chagrin of my wife, we've been the major donor to my campaign. I've had $100 was given to me at a cousin in Dallas. Other than that, everything has been from Brazos County, and the largest single donation I've received was $340.
Russ.
Jody, I will tell you this campaign is much more expensive than I expected or would like for it to be. With that being said, Vicki and I are funding the campaign, but we are receiving donations not only from Brazos County. We've got friends and family all over the state, and I'll just tell you, my dad gave $2,000 to the campaign. So like Silas, probably my biggest contributor is from out of county, but he's somebody that's very interested in how Brazos County's doing.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question. Let's move to an infrastructure project. I-14 was mentioned earlier. So what do you know about the route for I-14, and how can the Commissioner's Court influence the route? Tell us about the mechanics of how you deal with these sort of things. So I-14 is an item that's coming our way. How will that come about, and how will the Commissioner's Court play a role in that? Silas.
Well, I-14 is coming through Brazos County. It's coming down 190. That would be Highway 6, 21, but it's going to head over through Huntsville, the way I understand this. So it's going to have to make a turn somewhere in our county. Probably not once, but probably twice. If it's going to go down 30, up 21 a little ways, back over that direction. I don't know the precise route. No, I'm not going to stand up here and tell you that I know exactly where they're going to lay the road. The only thing that we can do as a county is we can get ahead of this. They have not laid the precise route down yet. We have, as citizens, the right to go up to the county courthouse or to the county commissioners and ask them, look, I don't want this property messed with. I don't want this. They can't guarantee anything. A commissioner has one vote out of 5. But we can get ahead of the game by talking to the citizens of Brazos County and ensuring that we make the best route of the road that's going to come through. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is communicate with the people of the county. The road's not going to be here in the next year. It's not going to be here in the next 5 years, but it is coming.
Thank you. Ronnie?
So I-14's been a subject for me for about 2 years. Being the former mayor of Curtin, one of the issue right now, everything's done in pencil right now. The routes can either be on Highway 30 or come down Highway 21, one of the two, as far as I-14. What's more concern to me is 214 Loop, which currently, the way it's on the map right now, which is the MPO map, it currently goes through basically the entire city of Curtin. It's 27 miles of 214 goes through Precinct 2. Just an overlay, basically in the city of Curtin, what I did an overlay of homes over the current route of 214, and they're planning on taking out about 33 homes, existing homes. So this is a concern to us. We haven't been really informed a whole lot about it. They have had some public meetings, but if people aren't watching the news or something like that, it's kind of hard. So I think one of us, as far as county commissioners, I think we need to bring this to light and be more on top of it and let our citizens know more what's going on.
Jody, I may take the full minute and a half here. What I'd like to say first, I want to talk about the alignment, and then I want to talk about the Regional Mobility Authority just for a second. But it has been a very hot subject for me on the alignment of the I-14. The current TxDOT plan is that it will come down 190 to Brazos County, and then it will go around the county. I-14 won't actually continue through the Highway 6 and the East Bypass corridor to get down to 30, but instead they'll route it around both sides of the city with that 214 loop. So the point that Ronnie makes is absolutely correct. Our concern probably in town and in our county needs to be, what is that alignment on I-214 going to look like? And what I have determined is that the MPO and TxDOT, they're going to do what's cost effective and what they think is the right engineering decisions to make on the thing. The RMA is our one opportunity to have a seat at the table and to make absolute our position known on where we want and where we don't want that 214 corridor to go. I, for one, do not like the idea of taking houses. I think that this thing can be worked out. We may have to go a little further east, go closer to the river to make that thing work. But I will tell you, it's going to be an expensive process. And Ronnie's right. They will start developing a route alignment, and they will be acquiring right-of-way soon.
Chuck.
To that point, the highway may not come for some time, but the groundwork's getting done soon. It's part of the Forts to Ports program through the federal transportation bill. They're trying to connect ports to our forts. Well, we've got a forts just to the west of us, and it's going to go right through Brazos County when it comes. So planning is absolutely essential. The RMA is absolutely going to be our voice. When you're talking to the federal government. This is an interstate, so RMAs are pretty much the only thing that they listen to. So we've got to get our RMA funded well and strong and able to be ready to suggest the routes. What scares me about it right now is we really don't know what the route is. There is a planning area, an area of planning. If you look at the EDC website, if you look at the TxDOT website, it's discussed as an area of planning. We don't know if it's going to come 21 all the way across Bryan out to the west side of the county. Think about the impact when you have two huge right-of-ways going through Bryan and the neighborhoods, the business park, everything that affects. If it goes 21 and turns up 6, think about that interchange and that flyover and the lanes and everything that will be disrupted there. The next commissioner for Precinct 2 needs to have the background and the knowledge ready to fight this and plan this so it doesn't shape us, rather we shape it. With my mixed experience in city and county, I believe I'll be effective there.
Thank you.
Could I add one thing to what Chuck said, and this is not in any way disagreeing with him. That right-of-way would be about 700 feet,
Yep.
but about 1,400 feet at the intersection, so it's significant.
Huge.
Thank you. Either one of you have another comment? for fairness here?
I think you're doing a great job, Jody. Don't y'all think Jody's doing a good job?
I don't have 15 seconds. I do want to talk about the RMA, but I can't do it in 15 seconds, so maybe that question will be asked.
Okay.
But Chuck and Russ is right. The RMA is our seat at the table. We have to make sure that we have a strong voice when we're talking about that.
Thank you. Okay. Next question starts with Ronnie. Brazos County has a large number of aging veterans needing assisted living facilities, yet there is a shortage of available VA facilities in Brazos County. Will you support and work with authorities to get a VA facility in Brazos County? This is not Brazos County funding this. This is working with the VA or whoever it is that determines those type of things.
I am an advocate for our citizens of Brazos County, and certainly my dad's a World War II veteran, and I would absolutely be an advocate for that. You mentioned there's no funding attached to that, so I think as a commissioner, county commissioner,
we hope.
Yeah. As a county commissioner, that is a major part of our job. It's being an advocate, working with other groups to get things done for our citizens. So, in a short answer, absolutely would.
I'm going to give you the short answer. The short answer is I would approve of that 100%. What I will tell you is Congressman Sessions has done a great job. I actually have attended a number of his forums. We've also got a problem with the VA as far as medical care for those veterans that needs to be addressed. But yes, housing, certainly, 100%.
I've got a long history of bringing the cities, the county, Texas A&M system, and university together, taking down our silos and working together for a project. I would do everything I can with my network of people day one to make something like this happen. I also want to add that I have a nephew who's just come back from Iraq here in the last few years, and he's had some medical issues from his service to our country, and that we were having trouble with the VA getting answers to his problems, even getting someone to call him back. And Jeff Mursky and Pete Sessions went to work on that. And boy, you want to talk about getting something done. We have people here. I don't think we're going to elect a congressman that doesn't want to support our veterans. And I don't think any of the four of us here is not going to say yes to this question. I'm just prepared to break silos and make people work together to get it done.
And absolutely, I would agree to help the VA do that. Ironically, I had a niece retire from the Navy today. She lives in Jacksonville, Florida. She's going to go into the private sector. And that's something that we actually talked about on the phone earlier today, was what could the VA do for her, because she was active military. She was over in Bahrain for years. But here locally, we do need something for the veterans. We need affordable housings. Work with Habitat for Humanity to maybe help out with some of this. Work out with other different nonprofit organizations to ensure that we can bring something here for the veterans in our area. So yes, I would support something like that.
Let's do a follow-up on that for about 30 seconds for everyone. What about existing facilities that are here that business has gone broke and the building is there? Is that anything that could be used for this, or is that not on the table for this type of thing? We'll start with Ronnie. 30 seconds.
Well, I'm not overly familiar with that subject matter, but I absolutely, as far as the county would be concerned, again, I think we need to advocate for our citizens. And if you're talking about the VA specifically, so yes, I mean that's something that we could look into. I don't know what the jurisdiction would be though, so I really can't answer that question.
Jody, I work closely with the Economic Development Corporation here, and what I'll tell you is they do a great job of working and looking for opportunities like that. As a county, it's possible we could use some of that ARP money to incentivize or to help do, let's say, the initial analysis of those buildings and make sure that they would fit environmentally into what we want to try to do. But absolutely, there are buildings in town, and anything that we could do to help that happen, I'm supportive of it.
Your modern commercial building is built where it can be configurable. They learned after decades that you don't want to build a building for one thing. It's configurable. We have a pandemic that hit our economy, and a lot of people now are working from home. They may not go back to commercial real estate. We have commercial real estate here, configurable commercial real estate here, that could be utilized for this effort. I'd love to see us explore that.
Thank you, Silas. 30 seconds.
And yes, I don't know the buildings that the county owns here in Brazos County, but if there is a facility that we can utilize and help the VA, that is something that is possible that we can look into. But we don't want to take a private citizen building away from them either. We need to make sure that it's something that's already county owned. The county doesn't need to, you know what I'm saying, do something unnecessary to take away from our citizens of Brazos County.
Okay, who's next? Okay, first question, answer comes from you, Russ. There's talk around town about possibly having a medical examiner, coroner facility here in Brazos County. Share with us your opinion about whether we need one, or if it's decided to have one, what's that going to cost?
Absolutely. Good question, Jody. What I will tell you is our Sheriff's Department and our staff believes that we are ready, that we're large enough now to have our own medical examiner's office, which would serve about a 7-county area. Now, we don't want to pay for that ourselves. The truth is that because we have A&M Health Sciences Center out there, it's a great opportunity for us to partner with them. Again, we might use some seed money and get that thing started. Now, I do understand the medical examiner actually has to work for the county. They have to be an employee of the county. However, A&M can fund that, and that person still be an employee of the county. So I think a partnership would be ideal. That's what we're looking for, would be a way to incentivize that and to use it as a teaching hospital for Texas A&M.
Partnership absolutely would be ideal, and we have this federal money that's coming to us. I don't want to start something we can't afford to keep, but maybe that's the get started money. Use some of the federal pandemic relief money to look at starting this facility. Brazos County can't fund this thing ourselves. 233,000 people cannot fund this thing. But we have the Brazos Valley could absolutely help us in that. And the goal would be actually to have a net positive for the county, because we'll be paying a salary or two to staff this thing. So I'm all for it. And I'll tell you, just so it hits home, when my father died, he died alone of a heart attack. He had only been alone for a few minutes. My brother had just left him. And because of that, the Justice of the Peace had to clear our father's body to be able to go on and us prepare and have this closure to celebrate this wonderful man's life. Had they decided otherwise, we would have had to have waited weeks while my father's body was taken to another county and examined, and that closure wouldn't have been there for our family. That celebration of life would have been altered and affected. And man, I just don't want that for Brazos County citizens. If we can fund it where we're not outlaying all the money, we have all our partners, A&M Health Science Center, School of Rural Public Health, hospitals here, students here, and other counties chipping in, and we can make this thing break even or even make a little money to cover those salaries in Brazos County. I'm all for it.
Very good. Silas.
Yes, we do need a medical examiner in our area. We are very large. It's not just Brazos County that we're going to be dealing with. It's other surrounding counties that's going to need this also. Right now, if somebody dies alone in their house, they have to be sent to Austin or Dallas. Now, we have to send somebody there. We're paying somebody to go that direction, to go up there to pick them up and bring them back. Now, that's county money. If we have a medical examiner's office here in Brazos County, that will reduce that cost. We will partner with A&M. That is something that's already being looked at this point, to have this fellowship with A&M, to be a teaching hospital, to be able to have other people learn how to come here and do the medical examiner's job. We don't need to be sending something off that we can actually do here. Is it going to cost us money? If anything, it'll be pennies on the dollar or break even because of the partnership with the other counties, with A&M, and other resources here in the Brazos Valley.
Thank you. Ronnie?
Yeah, I originally looked at the budget, county budget, and it looked like they were spending about $200,000 on this service to ship bodies to Austin. But I've been told otherwise, that they actually spent about $650,000, which changes things a little bit. So I think if we could be in partnership with the 7 counties around us, along with the HSC, I think if the numbers work, I think it would be a positive thing for our county and for our citizens.
Very good. Okay, Chuck, you're up next. Let's reduce the time on this question to a minute, just so we can give you a minute to close and meet our timeline pretty close. So Chuck, you're first. This question is about campaign promises, okay? Campaign promises are all we hear sometimes, okay? Which is what could be, all right? I want you to tell us what you've accomplished that makes you qualified to be a Brazos County Commissioner in a minute.
When I was elected to Bryan City Council, I promised that I would help expand our economy in Bryan College Station, lower the tax rate during the terrible financial shape that we were in at that time as a country. I did both of those things. We dropped the tax rate twice in the city of Bryan. We turned downtown around. We built a biomedical corridor. As a commissioner, I came in, lowered tax rate again. We also set the reserve up so that we might refinance our debt, save millions of dollars with a stroke of a pen. I worked with our purchasing department to let local people be able to bid on county jobs, and I studied and studied and studied the budget, which I came in during the height of the pandemic when we were looking at A&M being an online learning institution for 3 years. The judge picked me because he knew he could pick someone that performed under pressure. I walked right in, studied up, performed that role for nearly 6 months, and did it well. So I'm not promising you what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you I'm going to keep doing it.
Okay, Silas?
Campaign promises. The only promise I've made is to be a voice for the citizens here in Brazos County and Precinct 2. And I am a voice for Precinct 2, for people there. Even at my business, people come in now, ask questions. Like I say, if I know the answer, I will help them out. If I don't, I will find out or direct them somewhere where they need to go. I am the person that you need to elect for Brazos County Precinct 2 because I do want to be your voice. I listen. I don't interrupt you when you're talking. I'm concerned about what you have to say and what your feelings are for what we need to do in our county.
So I have a history. I've worked on city council for 18 years. So and nothing I've said in my campaign is not true. I've done what I've done. And so as far as campaign promises in the future, I'm a county commissioner is one of 5 people. And so all he can do, or she can do, is try to work with the remainder of the commissioner's court and try to convince them that this is the right way to go. I have a history. My goals is to lower tax rate, and that's what I'm going to try to do. And I'm trying to work with the remainder of the county commissioners to do that.
Thank you, Russ Ford.
Jody, what I'm going to promise is, I'm not part of a political machine. You're not going to see a retired U.S. congressman calling or talking to you on the radio about Russ Ford. I work for the people. And one of the things that I'm so proud of is that it's been noticed that whenever I call Road and Bridge with a problem, it doesn't have anything to do with the neighborhood. It could be a wealthy neighborhood, or it could be a mobile home community. With that, I give them exactly the same care and concern. So I'm not part of a political machine. I'm not going to vote to raise taxes. I am going to vote to get our sheriff's department the training facilities that they need and to work on their salaries. And the last thing that I would say is, I'm Russ Ford. I've lived here for 44 years. I'm working for Precinct 2. I've got to think about the whole entire county. In other words, I can't just focus on Precinct 2, but my major concern is Precinct 2 because we got 450 miles of road, 92 of it unpaved.
Thank you. And we start. Okay, now we'll have a closing comment for a minute, starting with Silas.
Well, anyway, I'm not as old as Russ Ford, so I haven't lived here 44 years. But I have lived here for most of my life. I am a lifelong citizen of Brazos County. I love this county. I love working in this county. I love the people of this county. And for years, doing through Little League, different organizations, the Better Business Bureau, I work for the people of this county. I've dealt through my businesses with over probably 15,000 citizens in this county working on their cars. I want to continue my community service being your county commissioner here in Precinct 2. Vote Silas Garrett for County Commissioner Precinct 2.
Ronnie.
Oh, so we were going this way. Yes. My motivation, I've been trying to be a public servant since I was 23. I'm 63. Every community I've lived in, I've served, never been paid for anything, and that's the way I want it, except if I'm in a commissioner's court. But, so that's my motive. My motive is I want to work with the people. I want to do what's right for the people. I'm a fiscal conservative. I want to try to save money wherever we can. And so that's my objective here. Trying to think of anything else. There's some subject matters that we did not get to that I'd love to have gotten to, like the RMA is a big deal for me. I'm different than these guys. So get with me. My number's on my website, votevituli.com. I'd love to talk to you about the RMA and have my viewpoints on that. Thank you.
Very good. Russ?
Jody, I'm Russ Ford, class of 1981, serving Brazos County right now. This is the job that I want. I'm not lining up to serve in any other position. This is what I want to do. I would not be as qualified as any of these three men for some other jobs, but I'm very qualified for this particular job. I would say that I've got three great men up here with me, and I'm so pleased and proud they are making me better through this process. And I don't think there's a lot of disagreement up here. In other words, I think all of us share a same basic core value. We are conservatives. And I am going to work very, very, very diligently to consider lowering taxes where it's appropriate. I think that's important. One of the things Ronnie addressed tonight is our appraisals have gone up. Unfortunately, on Commissioner's Court, that's not what we do. It is a reality, and we need to work to lower the tax rate to offset those appraisals.
Well, I'm not as old as Silas Garrett. I couldn't miss it. So what I feel like I do well is bring down silos and get people to communicate and talk and work together. If I'm elected as commissioner, I'll be really disappointed if these three men are not in my ear and helping me with that position. And you campaign, you go to these things a lot together, you learn to respect the opinions and the input of these three gentlemen. I feel like I have a unique resume with my experience in nonprofit, with my experience in boards and commissions, with city government, with county government, and with bringing people together to work toward a goal. I did that by keeping Kyle Field from closing for 2 years, which would have killed our economy. I've done that with the interlocal agreement, which built the pathway for the biomedical corridor expansion, one of the biggest hot spots in Brazos County, and I'll do that as your commissioner for Precinct 2 if you'll have me. I'm Chuck Conderla, class of 95. Would love your vote.
Thank you, thank you. Let's give him a round of applause.
And again, happy anniversary, honey.
You're not going to sing?
Now,
you want me to sing that?
Now we're to the portion of our program where we will have our state representative candidates come forward. Joshua Ham and Ben Bias running for State Rep District 12. Please come forward. No. These are running against one another. We'll let them do their deal. Then we'll let John do his. And then we'll bring them all three together for the question. Is John Slocum here?
He has arrived.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
You doing all right?
Let's let them go forward, and then we'll have you by yourself. It's a different race, okay?
Yep.
So.
Okay. Yeah. Good deal.
Thank you. Okay, Joshua Ham is up. You have 3 minutes for an opening statement.
Awesome. Howdy.
Howdy.
My name is Joshua Ham. So 9/11 happened my senior year of high school, and right down the road in Hearn. And it was kind of a pivotal moment in my life, obviously. I joined the Army, went overseas to Korea, Iraq, got wounded in Afghanistan, spent my time as a diesel mechanic. You know, I wasn't an officer. I didn't pretend to try to be some kind of super secret squirrel guy. That's not me. I'm just a diesel mechanic. I married my wife at Fort Hood, and we moved back to Brazos County. I have been all over the world, and I like it here. And so after I came back, I started working at Mustang Caterpillar as a heavy equipment diesel mechanic. Then I started working in the oil field. Frac Tech was just down the road, if y'all remember that. I worked at C&J's doing fracking for a while out there, swinging hammers. Then I started doing trucking, because obviously if you're going to be in the oil field, you're going to have to learn how to drive a truck. Started trucking, started doing vacuums. I drove teams with my dad from Houston up to Edmonton, Alberta, through that SOTS border that they're talking about in Montana. We used to go through there every week. We drove up and back every week. And so what I bring to the table is a perspective that you don't get a lot of time with people who are running for state legislature. And I don't mean that in any way disrespectful to the other people. Mr. Bias is a successful man. God bless him. But there aren't a lot of people who are able to actually represent the thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions of regular blue-collar Americans who have been getting bled dry for the last 10 years. How is it that we've had 20 years of Republicans in control of Texas, and my children are less free today than they were when I joined the Army? That makes zero sense to me. And the only way that can happen is if we have Republicans who aren't following the plank of the Republican Party of Texas. If I plead to you to go and look at the planks of the Republican Party of Texas. There are over 330 items on there, and that platform is amazing. And if we could just get Republicans to do Republican things, our state would be amazing. Why can't we get that? And I don't think that the same people who cause these problems are going to be in any position to solve these problems. I want my children to at least have the opportunities that I did. And I believe that your children and grandchildren deserve that too. Please think of me when it comes to State House Representative for District 12. My name is Joshua Ham.
Thank you, Ben Bias.
Thank y'all for having me. It's a grand opportunity. I'm going to say howdy.
Howdy.
Howdy. Thank you. I'm learning to do that. I'm a Bearcat. Somebody called in and said, well, you obviously weren't smart enough to be an Aggie. But we have a great school over there. John Sharp, I met with him, and he's a wonderful man doing a great job for you. And he told me about how he dated that Felder girl over there in Huntsville for a year. And why do Aggies always say yes, ma'am, to Bearcats? So they marry them. That's not, I shouldn't make Aggie jokes.
Forgiving people.
Yes, you are. I first of all want to start off saying a little bit about this district that we have. We have been blessed with a very good conservative district. Ted Cruz wins our district by some 80+%. We now have Huntsville, we have Grimes County, Washington County, a sliver of Brazos County. Unfortunately, I don't have much of Brazos County, but I do want to let you know I'm going to be here for you. We go up to Robertson County and then to Madison County. We're the cradle of Texas independence. We're a very conservative area. I'm a conservative. I'm a lifelong conservative. I've helped build the Republican Party in Texas. I fought when you couldn't win a seat in Texas before there was a Republican majority. I was involved in politics. I helped campaign and candidates all through this area, created a radio show back in the early 2000s to try to help Republicans get elected. So I've been doing this a long time. I have a degree from Sam Houston State in finance. I've been in business for over 40 years in Huntsville, Texas. I'm a real estate investment company. I'm married to, my wife is named Kim. She owns Kim's Home and Garden. She's a very successful Texas businesswoman in her own right. I'm very proud of her, and around that area, I'm known as Kim's husband. And I'm proud, seriously. I have a son who is working to take over my business, and I'm blessed to see a second-generation business stay in Texas. That's economic development when you keep your kids at home working and doing well. I'm in this race. I don't need a job. I've done pretty well. Thank you. I get to pay a lot of taxes. But I didn't need a job, and I'm not looking to advance a political career. I'm in this race because I believe that we need to have a conservative member of the state legislature, not the most liberal Republican in the Texas legislature, go back. That would send a horrible message to the left, would laugh at us, and it would send a message that they took Texas. And folks, they want Texas. Texas is under attack. They're overrunning our border. And I'm going to be your next state representative. No.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, what we'll have is John Harvey Slocum come up. He's running in a different race. If y'all would take a seat while he is making his presentation, then we'll have all three of you come forward for questions at the same time. John, go ahead.
Howdy.
Howdy.
I've been to several of these lately, and I wanted to make sure that I got that out as good as Ben or better. You're getting pretty good at that, so welcome. But my name is John Harvey Slocum. I was born and raised here in this community. I had a 20-year oil field career after graduating from Texas A&M that took my wife and I all over the state of Texas. I worked in the oil fields all over the United States and actually even in Europe. So it was a fun ride. I got to learn a lot of things. I got to look at different places of the world and certainly learn different perspectives, and it's been a blessing to get back. My wife, Teresa, is here with me tonight. And much like what you just heard, this race is important to me because our country needs people to step up and be leaders. We need conservatives that don't say they're conservatives, but act like conservatives and vote conservative and protect our way of life. So, I'm anxious to have the opportunity to represent you, and I plan to go to Austin and not only be a leader, but to make progress for our way of life and the values that we need. So, yeah.
Thank you, thank you. So if we could have, and so John Harvey Slocum running for District 14.
Correct.
So we'll have Joshua Ham and Ben Bias running for District 12 to join John, and we'll ask all three of them questions at the same time because they're essentially running for the same office, and the questions should be the same. So we will start out with...
And the good thing is we won't be stealing each other's votes in any way.
But you're still representing Texans, and it's all here in the neighborhood. So, again, you'll have a minute and a half to answer, but if you don't need a minute and a half, that's great because we can ask more questions, okay? So be aware of the timekeepers, and we'll all get this done. So, I'm sure most everybody in the room is familiar with the Republican legislative priorities. That's been talked about a lot in the last few years, and some people don't like to talk about that because they don't agree with them, but they still call themselves Republicans. Do you support or oppose the 10 propositions on the Republican primary ballot?
Not only do I support the 10 propositions that are on there, I support all 330 planks of the Republican Party of Texas. There should, if we are serious, then what we should be doing is ensuring that we go through and just line item by line item. I don't care if it's a one-page bill. If that makes it easier, then make it happen. Just get the fluff out of there and just go, hey, this thing, it's a priority, get it done. As soon as that's done, then you can sit there and talk about making this city the capital of Dr. Pepper, whatever. I don't care. Get that done. Then get the next thing done. Then get the next thing done. You don't get your pet projects until you get the things done that the people want done. It's really that simple, and it is infuriating that the people who say they represent us refuse to actually represent the values and the ideas that we want them to represent.
Thank you. Ben Bias.
I want to correct one thing. This opponent is a conservative, so I meant the other one. So I apologize for that. I've studied the Republican Party platform. I've been involved in Republican Party politics my entire adult life. I 100% support the Republican Party platform. I've not only studied it, I've signed it, and I've agreed to support the choice for Speaker of the House that the Republican Party caucus selects. The Republican, there's a pledge, he and I both signed it, that we will support the nominee or that is selected by the Republican caucus. There are a lot of Republicans who may not do that. That's a big deal. Is we support the party. and what the party caucus agrees to.
John.
I fall in line with that. I think that I feel the same way. I feel so strongly about it that I voted for him this week. So I think that's the best answer. I've already voted and support that platform. So yes, I do support that for sure.
Okay, so just to follow up on that, just a brief answer, if you will. I think we all know what the answer is going to be. But if you're elected, what are you going to do about that? If you're elected.
About that?
About the propositions, the Republican priorities. How are you going to lead to put those forward?
So one of the things that I've done, I've been working with a whole bunch of other insurgent candidates, Tom Glass, Shelley Luther, and others who are attempting to take out the rhinos from the grassroots. And we're attempting to build a coalition of Texas First Patriots so that when we go up there, it's not just Joshua Hamm by himself, but it's Joshua Hamm plus 25 others. And if you got 25 Texas First Patriots, then you can control what happens in the legislative process.
Thank you. Ben Bias.
Well, naturally, these are not the force of law, but these are principles that we stand for. Mm-hmm. And if this, I don't have a Democrat opponent, so I'll have a lot of time to help promote these principles and ideas amongst the people and gain support for them. We'll work for that.
Very good. John?
Yeah, I think it goes back to leadership and what I've promoted all along. I'm running against a guy that's been there now for some time, 11 years. We've had 3 speakers. He's failed to ever lead a committee, head a committee, and that's a direct reflection of not working very hard or not being able to influence people. And I think that going there and becoming a leader, our Speaker of the House has been there half as long as he is. So let's throw the excuses out the window. You have to go there and be effective, and you have to be able to influence people to agree with our values and vote in line with us instead of theirs.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Next question, and we will start with Ben Bias on this question. The governor, lieutenant governor, the speaker, and many others have declared that the last regular legislative session was very successful for Texans. There have been 2 additional special sessions, which altogether, we got 3 sessions for the legislature this year. 3 specials. Okay. So we've had all of this time to deal with issues. So tell us if those efforts were successful, yes or no, and provide an example or 2 of why they were. It was successful or not. Ben Bias.
Well, I can say they were successful in one aspect. They didn't let the bill that my opponent, Kyle Cassell, authored that would have extended Medicare, Medicaid, and Obamacare into Texas. He was an author of that bill. It was killed in the House. There were good things and there were bad things. I don't think it was the most successful legislative session. Right now, in Texas, they should have had appraisal district reform. They should have made crime labs here in College Station and Sam Houston State University to get crime evidence to the DA so they can prosecute these narcotic terrorists. There's enough fentanyl crossing our border today to kill 176 million Americans. We're at war. This is chemical warfare on our society. And we're going to have to do something about it immediately. We do not have time, actually, to wait till the next legislative session to solve this problem, because these are coming into our country now and will kill and poison our children and families. Thank you. John?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that was the failure of this past legislative session is not finding a way to secure our border. I think that was the big miss. That should have been a priority. It should have been the first thing we did, is figure out how to support our game wardens and our DPS troops and all the law enforcement that we send there that are trying to protect our lives.
Very good. Joshua?
No, it was not the most conservative session ever. They are blowing smoke. That's BS. We wanted constitutional carry. We didn't get that. We got permitless carry. Not the same thing. We wanted abortion banned. We didn't get that. We got the heartbeat bill. Good. I'm glad for it. But that's not what we asked for. We asked for abolishing Roe v. Wade in the state of Texas and saving lives, and we didn't get that. And then they tried to tell us that they secured our elections by decreasing the felony fraud, voter fraud, to a misdemeanor. That's not securing elections, okay? Then beyond that, we're still asking for a fourth special session so that we can get legislative protections for Texans to say, hey, no business, no municipality, no county, no state can tell you what you will inject in your bodies. You have that control over your life. And did they do it? No. Do we have a fourth special session to make that happen? No. Why the heck didn't they get that done at any time? Why isn't our bodily autonomy important to them? How is it that they ever allowed this governor to shut down churches in our state? How did they ever allow that to happen? Because I tell you what, they say that they can't come together in a special session. They can if they're processing him, because he's not doing his job. He's not protecting Texans. He sure isn't protecting my children. You know what else they didn't do? They didn't stop child abuse. They didn't stop chemical castration of children in our state. And that's wrong, and it's evil.
Very good. Okay. John, you're up first. And this next question is, there's been much interest and big talk about eliminating property tax in Texas, okay? Do you support eliminating property taxes? If so, what would you replace it with? If not, why is the existing property tax system better than other options?
That's a good question. That's a complicated question. You know, obviously property tax is an issue for all of us, and a growing issue. By coming back and telling us that they've saved us money by keeping the rate the same doesn't take into the equation of escalating values. So it's BS to cover it. I am for eliminating property taxes if we can find a plan that captures that revenue in other ways. I think there's many ways to do it. I hate to say that in doing that you have to do one of two things. You either have to create new revenue, which puts things on our ballot that I think most of us in this room wouldn't stand for, or you create a new tax. So that's something that I think I need to that obviously will lead a charge in changing. But I think that's not a one-person solution. That's a many person solution. I think we need to get in the halls of the Capitol and fight that out and come up with a solution that is a true solution and it's not just pushing off to another issue.
So what would you replace it with? Do you have an idea or an opinion?
I hate to commit to that right now because I haven't heard of a plan, and I don't have one myself that is a true solution. I mean, and I don't believe in just saying, hey, we can do this when you create another load of problems. So right now I agree in theory with replacing those, but not until we come up with a promising solution and not just another issue.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Joshua?
Property taxes are immoral, and as far as I'm concerned, they're unconstitutional. We talked about the Fourth Amendment earlier and how you have a right to your property and due process. How is it that you can't own your property? The Texas Constitution talks about homestead protections. How do you have homestead protections if you never own your property? And if you think you own your property, stop paying property taxes, and you'll find out real quick who actually owns that land, and it ain't you. All right, so that's step one. Step two, the way that you resolve this is, I know Mr. Huffings has talked a lot about it. We already have a sales tax in the state of Texas. That sales tax already generates additional revenue. Just allow municipal authorities to be able to institute sales tax, which I believe they can already do anyways. Beyond that, part of how you resolve funding is you start funding students instead of buildings. And if you start distributing that money directly to parents and you let them choose where they go, well, education is one of the largest items that's in the Texas state budget, and a third of it is devoted to testing because politicians want to be able to say they hold teachers accountable. But that doesn't actually benefit students in any way. So that's why you got to sit there and start bringing in competition and doing that.
Question. So you are for eliminating property taxes? If you are, what would you replace it with?
Yes, sir. You eliminate property taxes, you allow municipalities to institute sales tax, and you already have a sales tax. You might have to increase it from 8.25% to, say, 9%. I don't care. Property taxes are illegal and immoral.
Thank you. Ben Bias.
Okay, there are no statewide property tax. The taxes, your property taxes are local. And I believe in a Republican form of government. I believe in the 10th Amendment. And I don't believe that the federal government nor the state legislature should tell you how to really run your schools. They're supposed to be independent school districts. Your county sets your tax rate. There are no statewide property tax. There is a franchise tax and there is a sales tax. I'll vote to eliminate the franchise tax because that's an income tax. And if you open this question up and the legislature starts trying to meddle in your local business, guess what? There's enough votes to make an income tax in Texas. We don't need to discuss taxes. What we need to do is lower the taxes, help our education system become more efficient, deliver better education to our students. And if we don't close that border, I can tell you there's not enough tax money in Texas to take care of everybody on the planet. And that's the solution.
Okay, so just to be clear, a little more clear, John, you would work toward eliminating property taxes
Definitely.
in some way, is that right?
Definitely.
Okay. Not sure what you would replace it with, but but that's fine. That's not determined. Okay. So, Joshua, you would
abolish property taxes, make them unconstitutional in the state, and use sales tax to raise money.
Okay. And Ben, for clarity, short again.
Lower taxes, increase accountability, and I can tell you that you will not eliminate property taxes in Texas unless you want to mandate from the state of Texas to your local school district. I will support, if y'all want to eliminate property taxes and fund it some other way, that's a local issue. I will not allow the liberals or the Democrats or whomever they are to open up and create a state income tax in Texas. They're local. There are no state property taxes, and I will assure that we never have a state property tax, and I will fight to end the income tax in Texas.
Okay. All right. So we do have some difference of opinion here, especially between what Ben is saying and what Joshua and John's saying. Okay. And that's fine. That's what we're here for, to find out what the different opinions are. So thank you for that. Okay. So let me find my list here. Property rights are of paramount importance in Texas. What is your opinion about government condemnation of property? And along that line, what is your opinion about the proposed bullet train from Houston to Dallas?
Is that mine?
Joshua's first on this one.
Okay.
Is that right?
No,
I went first last
Okay.
time.
You went first last
I'll
time,
take
Joshua,
it.
you're first this time.
That was easy.
I got the microphone. You're first this time.
I'm trying to be considerate, my bad. Okay, so yes, property rights are incredibly important. It's part of the reason why we need to abolish property taxes in the state, because you should have your rights as a property owner. That also applies when we're talking about the ability of municipalities and counties, and indeed even private companies, to use eminent domain to take people's land. And there's not a whole lot of ways for people to be able to fight back against their own government when it's trying to take their land. Nor is there, in my opinion, a good enough way to make sure that the people who have had their land taken through eminent domain are actually recompensed properly for that, for the actual amount. And so that's a big deal. The bullet train should have been dead on arrival long ago. It is still dead on arrival. You don't get to take people's lands for private business. The state of Texas isn't going to fund it in any way. It's not going to make money. There's no bullet train that's made money anywhere. Stop it already. The answer is no. You don't get to take our frickin' land.
Okay. You're up, Ben.
Yes, I fought for property rights my entire adult life. I've been in the real estate business, and I understand property rights. I had my office that I was in for 30 years condemned and taken by TxDOT. My wife's business was taken by TxDOT. I'm involved in litigation against TxDOT. I've had farmers that I represent along the route of that bullet train lied to by supposed right-of-way agents claiming that they had eminent domain authority. I begged this gentleman to not go along with them, that they were telling him wrong, but they convinced him he needed to pay his property taxes. And I was just brokenhearted, and now they can't sell the land because it's got this option on it. This was criminal. Ben Lamont is the state representative for Washington and Grimes County. Lois Colcourse is the senator. That's why Ben Lamont has endorsed me, because he knows I can get the job done. We'll kill this once and for all. And I know how to do it. And Ben Lamont and I, together with Lois Colcourse and the other representatives along this route, are going to kill it. There's a Supreme Court ruling. It may have come down yet. The Supreme Court of Texas.
From January, yes.
Right. Has it come down yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Well, we're waiting to hear from that. And when we do, then we'll plan the strategy from there. But that is my job number one, ongoing business.
Thank you. John Slocum.
Yeah, same answer, and sometimes by saying less, you say more. I mean, it's simple. I don't think that the train should even be an issue that we should talk about anymore. It needs to be killed, and I am a 100% landowner's right activist. I mean, our landowners should never have to worry ever about having land taken from them for a high-speed train.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me drill on something here just for a second. I'll ask Ben, and I'll let y'all follow up and comment. Ben's got personal experience with condemnation. Can you give me like 30, 45 seconds tell us what you've experienced with TxDOT, whether they're fair with you or not, and give us a little insight on your experience.
We need an hour. Their appraisal process is wrong, and they have a manual that they produced that provides for the procedure. I've actually read it. That's as geeky as I can get. But between the lawyers that defend property owners have a list of items that they would like to see changed. It's extensive, but there are little bitty things that you change in the legislature or work with TxDOT on, but primarily their appraisal process is kind of rigged in their favor.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Do either one of you want to add anything to that? I just wanted to ask because it was a personal issue that you have personal experience with.
Give me 10 more seconds or so.
Okay.
My wife, they condemned her property. The appraisal district continues to charge her for a piece of property that she no longer owns and charges her a penalty. There shouldn't be any taxation during the pendency of a suit for condemnation. That's a small little thing that I'm going to get accomplished. They're not going to be able to continue to try to take your property while they're suing you to take it.
Thank you, Ben. Go ahead, John.
We went through that in Milam County on our place front 79, and through the easement they did the exact same thing to us. So
criminal.
Yeah, it is. It's criminal.
Okay, Joshua.
And the only thing I would say that's similar is this is going to be incredibly important because we talked about the I-14 corridor earlier, and we know that we have growth going on here, right? Down the road from me, there's a new development that's going in. What's that new development going to want shortly after everybody moves in? They're going to go, hey, we need better roads, and we need to sit there and improve infrastructure and everything else. And I know that stuff wasn't there when we moved here, but now we need to take the land from the farmers that are around us so we can improve our living situation. And so it's not just a one-time thing or an interstate thing. It's an everyday thing that people are dealing with here at home.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move to a little different topic. I believe Ben is first on this one. What is your opinion about how the COVID-19 mandates were administered, and what is your plan of action for any future mandates? In other words, whatever comes down the pike, what do you plan to do about it?
Well,
as a state rep, there's limits, but as a state rep.
Well, there's a lot of things we can do. The federal government, nor the state of government, or any branch of government has the right to interfere in our personal lives. That is beyond the role and scope of the Constitution. We are individuals with our own rights, and we have a right to privacy. I believe the judges would agree with me that the mandates were wrong, and I'll fight them. And I've had to pay a deep price, and I don't want to go into it because I refused to comply or bend the knee.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, I disagree with any mandates that come down from the federal government to state level. I think that masks and personal freedoms should outweigh mandates being given to us.
Okay. Thank you, Josh.
I think government officials who took away the civil rights of citizens should be arrested. That's what I think.
Okay.
I don't think I need any more.
Very good. Just like we asked before, brief answers are great. They're great. Okay. John, you're up next. The unprecedented winter storm, what we call the Snowmageddon, happened a year ago this month. We all have memories of the different circumstances experienced by many of our loved ones and other Texans. What should be done to avoid that same type of catastrophe in the future? And will appointment of politicians to ERCOT solve this?
I think that was a huge fail on this past session. I'm intimately involved in the oil and gas business. I was intimately involved in having to turn those gas wells back on once we took power, and we had Texas literally dying from the cold without power. So I think did we appoint a board to watch another board? I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. I mean, that's a elementary solution to a major catastrophe that happened. We need to make sure that our Texas grid, our infrastructure, is solid. We need to hold companies. There were some companies. I know Energy Transfer was a company that had gone in, winterized their facilities, and thank goodness for those few, we did have enough power to get most people through. But there was a lot of people that suffered, and we need to hold. That doesn't need to be the burden. Those people charge us every day. They need to manage our business. When I run a business, I have to accrue money to make sure that my infrastructure and my assets are suitable to run my business. And we need to expect the same thing from our grid providers, and to make sure that the rate providers are not paying for their lack of responsibility and taking care of their facilities. So they need to be held responsible for that, and we need our infrastructure upgraded immediately.
Okay. Joshua?
Snowmageddon. Can I say once again that people should be held accountable? I think I could say that. The other thing I would say that is a part of it is we're not planning for the future, and regardless of what happens, we know that we've got continued growth in the state of Texas. We've got young people being born. We've got immigration from other states as they escape blue tyranny and come to red freedom. And so what we should be doing right now is building nuclear power facilities and desalination plants right now, because they're already trying to take the water rights from the rural people. They're trying to take the San Antonio's been trying to get at our aquifer water for 10, 15 years or something like that, and it's only going to get worse. We worked in the oil field. We know how to do pipelines, build desalination plants on the coast, start getting fresh water to those big cities, start building nuclear power plants so that you can build a robust infrastructure that's not just going to be dependent on unreliable power. And if we can put millions of dollars into solar power and wind energy, then why can't we do it for something that actually works?
Thank you.
Exactly.
Good advice.
Well, I agree with that. The windmill power started the problem. We don't normally have that kind of icing. We lost 20% of our power. Then it goes to gas generation, which I love gas generation. But there's not always a government solution to every problem. This problem occurred because of government interference. After 22 hours of testimony, it was found that the federal government required gas transmission people to use electricity to transmit gas. Well, guess what? When the electricity went off, you couldn't transmit the gas, so he's having to pump the gas and get the power turned back on. This was all caused by the federal government telling the industry how to do their job. Here you have a gas pipeline and a gas transmission compressor, and you can't run it off gas because of the federal government. Who talked about the 10th Amendment? All of us, yeah, we all agree on that. But that's all I have to say. There is not a government solution for every problem. And generally, government, when it interferes with industry and private business, makes a mistake. People spending their own money know how to do what's best. So that's what I'm for.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Joshua. Okay, we're getting through quite a few questions here. We're getting close to the end. Joshua, you're up first. Nullification action by state government is an option available to say no to the federal government when they take action beyond their constitutional duties. And most people know there's specific duties that the federal government has. We all know they've gone far beyond that, way before our lifetime, and continue to do that now. So the question is, under what circumstances, if any, would you consider supporting state nullification to refuse a federal mandate, an executive order, or an unconstitutional law? Can you give us an example?
Roe v. Wade. There's one right off the bat. And there's more. There's plenty more.
Okay,
Immigration.
let's hear 'em.
All right, immigration. I don't care what the federal government says. We build the wall. We secure our border. Period. End of story. Roe v. Wade. It's not a law. I don't care. Texas should simply state that murder in the state of Texas applies to everyone, regardless of age. You cannot murder babies in the womb. Period. Solved. Fixed. I don't care. Screw them. The general... Look, I was in Afghanistan. What are they going to do, invade us? We saw how they handled that. So the general principle, the general problem is that there's so much money that comes from the federal government that many politicians are addicted to that flow of money that comes from the federal government, and every doggone dollar has a string attached. That's the problem that we're facing, okay? So you're gonna have to require men and women of incredible moral character to say, no, I won't accept the money, I'm gonna do what's right. And we have found in the last 20 years in Texas, that's a very rare thing to find. You need leadership. You need somebody who's actually willing to do it. And there are consequences that are going to come. They will absolutely use money against the state as a weapon. And so what it would require is somebody in leadership or somebody's in leadership to go, fine, you don't want to give us federal money anymore? Texas, you're all exempt from federal income tax, and you can't kidnap our citizens.
Thank you, Ben Bias. Thank you, Ben Bias.
Yes, sir. Nullification is a question that I'm not that familiar with, but I am familiar with this, that Texas is a sovereign state. Texas is going to elect one of us as 150 people, and I'd rather be one of the 150 in Texas than one of 435 in Washington. And as a matter of fact, Washington, I believe I'm going to be capable to find these progressive little ideas that cause us to have to discuss nullification. We need to turn back the progressives. We need to outsmart them. They've been playing chess and we've been playing checkers. That's why I'm in this race. I believe that I'm uniquely qualified to go up there and stop their extension of Medicaid, Obamacare into Texas. I believe that I'm capable of providing the kind of leadership that leads us safely away from this invasion of our rights and kill the communist socialist regime and run them out of the swamp in Austin forever.
Thank you, John.
What are we today, the 7th or 8th largest economy in the world? So I think we need to elect leaders and businessmen to start managing our state and get it to where we don't have to worry about federal dollars to come in, and we don't have to worry about federal mandates being put on us, and where we can depend on ourselves. We're plenty strong to do this on our own.
Thank you. We're to the end of our questions right now, but we do want a closing statement from you. And who do we start with? Starting with Ben Bias, you have 1 minute for a closing statement.
Well, this is a very important race. As I pointed out, Texas is under attack. We're being overrun. I'm in this race. I get mountains of papers that say pledge this, and I told them I'm not going to sign your pledges from the swamp. I'll make you one pledge. I'm going to follow the word, and I'm going to follow the Constitution. And I'm never going to compromise with evil for the sake of political expediency. If somebody's working toward the truth, we can work together. If they're not, they're an enemy. And so I'm in this race, and I believe that when we band together, that we can. I believe that we have hope. We have a war on our hands like we've never known before. And that's why I'm leaving my home and my family, my job, to come out here and serve. Like I said, I don't need a job, but I'm going to spend my dying breath and last buck on fighting these people. And I've told my other opponent that, and I ask for your blessings. God bless this great state.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. John, closing statement.
Yeah, I'm in this race to become a leader. And I may not know all the answers today, but if I'm ever in a room and have to be the smartest person, then I've failed myself. I'm really good at getting smart people around me and getting people in the room that can create solutions for our country. I will do that by standing on my moral compass and doing the things that's right for conservatives. My actions will show where I stand. I won't talk about being conservative. I'll act that way and legislate that way. So I ask for your vote this upcoming election. I'd love to be your District 14 representative.
Thank you, John Slocum. Joshua Ham, you've got the last word this evening.
Hooah. You know, this is something I never considered doing, never considered running for office. And what finally put me over the edge, you know, was when I found out that Kyle Cassell voted against the bathroom bill to protect my 13-year-old daughter. And then it became a little personal, as you may have seen from time to time. I get a little angsty. I'm lucky. I'm retired also, and so I don't have to do this for money. And that's what I can do is spend my time. And it's incredibly important that we start developing patriots who understand that we're really good at honoring service when it comes to firemen, police officers, and soldiers, but we're really bad at expecting that same level from politicians. And we need to, once again, make civil service something that we respect.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's give these men a great hand. Well, we've had a great evening tonight. Thank you all for hanging tight and staying with us to the end. That's great that we've got this much interest, and we know that we've all got decisions to make, and sometimes they're not real pleasant, but hey, we're all adults. We got to make a decision, okay? And so I will draw your attention to the end of the ballot. Do not skip that. Those 10 propositions, they're very important. And Bryan College Station Tea Party doesn't make candidate recommendations, but we can make a recommendation on those propositions. Vote for all of them, please. Just so you know, those propositions will go a long way to setting the legislative priorities for the Republican Party for the next session of the Texas legislature. So what you see on there could very well be part of the legislative priorities that's coming up for the next session. So your vote counts. Thanks for being here. Come see us next month. We have great programs every month. We love you. Good night.